Your attitude has been poor. I mean, I think there's maybe half a dozen times, 10 times that you said, send me to TDC, send me to TDC. What you will learn as a man is that when you say something, people believe you. And I can't help but think, as many times as you said you want to go to TDC, the fact that you're assaultive on staff, the fact that as many times as you've been disruptive, dozens and dozens of times, in such a short period of time too. You were in TDC less than a year, or right about, yeah, you were in TDC for 8 months, 10 months before they made the decision that they just can't help you. It is truly remarkable the number of violations that you had. When you look at the numbers that I saw in your master file, that's comparable to somebody who's been in TDC or TJJD for 3 or 4 years, not less than 1 year. But you are just to the point where you're so violent and aggressive and non-compliant that I just don't think you will be rehabilitated in TJJD, and that now you need to be transferred to an incarceration environment, mostly just to protect the community from you. I will also let you know that part of my factor on this one um, is the fact is just your high level of disruption on everything. I find it truly remarkable. Um, that being said, uh, since you are being transferred to TDC, you will fall under some parole guidelines that they have here. This is a 3G offense. Since it's aggravated robbery and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, you are not eligible for parole in the adult prison system. You would be eligible under mandatory release guidelines that we have in the state for adults, but not the traditional parole rules that we have. My hope is that you go to TDC and hopefully learn from your mistake and do better. But at this point, I believe, and also I want to let you know, part of this is a policy decision. There are many youth in TJJD who are trying to do better, and keeping you there would just delay them from getting the treatment. There are youth here in our detention facility that are waiting for TJJD, and they can't go as long as you're occupying a bed there. Honestly, you had your chance. You had multiple chances. They gave you the 60-day set off, and you chose not to take advantage of that. I can't devote more state resources to you for somebody who does not want to be helped at the sacrifice of somebody potentially who wants to be helped that can go to TJJD and be rehabilitated and return to our community. Because there was no agreement, you do have a right to appeal. I have a yellow piece of paper copy of the notification of right to appeal. Your attorney will hand that to you before they take you back to the Tarrant County Jail. That does explain that you have the right to appeal. If you cannot afford an attorney for the appeal, I will provide one for you. All right. Is there anything else that we need for the record, Ms. Terrio?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Newman?
Nothing from respondent.
Okay, that shall be the order of the court. Bailiff, for Mr. Blackmore, if you can just not take him away quite yet, All right. Hello, Dad. Okay. Everyone can hear me still?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so back on the record, Mr. Newman, do you have any witnesses?
At this time, respondent will rest.
Okay. Ms. Terrio,
Yes, Your Honor.
closing arguments.
Judge, we would just ask that you follow the recommendation/request from the Texas Juvenile Justice Department.
Okay. All right, Mr. Newman, closing argument.
Thank you, Judge. In reviewing the statute, obviously there are the criteria the court has outlined, but also any other relevant factor. And I think one of the relevant factors this court ought to consider is time. The amount of time he has available left in the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Ultimately, when we're looking at the experiences and character of the person before and after commitment, let's talk about after commitment. After commitment, we started out in a place where we were getting approximately 20 violations a month. Over the course of the last 7 months, that has dropped to approximately 3 rule violations a month. He only achieved another 20. This is an individual who is demonstrating an ability to be changed by the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. That is what we're seeing in this file. And I think this court should undertake the opportunity that the legislature affords for you to refuse it at this point and give up effectively nothing other than give him the opportunity to get on the program, complete it, get to stage yes, and be a productive member of society. And if that does not happen, this court still has the ability to conduct another early transfer hearing because we wouldn't be bound by any procedural protection for that reason. I would ask the court to deny it at this point, order him back to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, and let's see what happens when he's given a chance to complete violent offender programming. Thank you.
So this court, having considered all the competent evidence, having considered the experiences and character of the person before and after commitment to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, having considered the nature of the penal offense that the person was found to have committed and the manner in which the offense was committed, having considered the abilities of the person to contribute to society, having considered the protection of the victim of the offense or any member of the victim's family, having considered the recommendations of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, County Juvenile Board, local juvenile probation department, and prosecuting attorney, having considered the best interest of the person, and having considered any other factor relevant to the issue to be decided, will order the return of the person to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department without approval for release under supervision. Mr. Blackmore, I am transferring you to the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Because you have been respectful to me, not just this time, but every time we saw each other in court before, I do want to tell you why, because I think you're entitled to know that. I think that's part of my job as a judge, is to explain this. There are a couple things. One is just how serious this offense was. It was an armed robbery of a gas station involving a firearm. This is clearly dangerous behavior. While it was, when you were younger, it wasn't that much younger. It was only a year or two ago. Clearly, there was a need for rehabilitation from your violent behavior, and that's why you were sent to TJJD. Now, while you were there, this have a chance for Mr. Newman to give him a copy of his certification of right to appeal. All right, that'll conclude this hearing. Thank you, everyone. Let's start this then. Court calls cause number 323-124614-24, styled in the matter of Samuel Lee Blackmore. We are here for a hearing under 54.11 of the Texas Family Code on a parole transfer hearing. Mr. Blackmore, just so you understand, that this is a hearing to make a determination on whether I should transfer you to the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, or if I should release you into the community for, with approval for release under supervision. This is a hearing that I told you about the last time we saw each other. You do have certain rights at this hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to cross-examine and confront adverse witnesses. You have the right to present evidence and argument. You do not have a right to a jury, and you have the right to examine any report that is being used through your attorney, Mr. Newman. Because there is no agreement, you do have a right to appeal my decision. Mr. Blackmore, this is a hearing where the law allows me to make a determination, because you are a determinate sentence offender, on whether you should be released into the community or transferred to TDC. There are factors I must consider that the law requires me to consider. I must consider the experiences and character of you before and after commitment to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. I must consider the nature of the penal offense that you were found to have committed and the manner in which it was committed. I must consider the abilities of you to contribute to society. I must consider the protection of the victim of the offense and any member of the victim's family. I must consider the recommendations of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, the County Juvenile Board, local juvenile probation department, and prosecuting attorney. I must consider the best interest of the person. And finally, I must consider any other factor relevant to the issue to be decided. After considering these factors, I must decide whether you should be released under supervision or transferred to TDC. I can order you held in the county jail waiting for your pickup by TJJD or TDC. I can also order your return to TJJD with or without approval for release under supervision. The court at this time will take judicial notice of the court's file and all of its contents. Specifically, on January 30th of 2025, this court found the child delinquent for the felony offense of aggravated robbery, and also found the child delinquent for the felony offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. At a separate and distinct hearing, this court found a need for disposition and committed the child to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department for a period of 8 years. Remember, Mr. Blackmore, at that time, I told you that we would see each other again for me to make a decision whether I should transfer you or to parole you, and that I would consider everything that you've done between that date and the day we saw each other again. I originally told you I would see you shortly before your 19th birthday. As the case may be, there's a request for early transfer from TJJD. That is why we're seeing each other before I expected to. All right. So, Ms. Terrio, uh, your first witness.
The state would call Tammy Coy.
And Ms. Coy. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Ms. Terrio, please proceed.
Ms. Coy, can you state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Tammy Coy, Tamicoy.
And how are you currently employed?
I work for the Texas Juvenile Justice Department.
And what is your role with the Texas Juvenile Justice Department?
I oversee the Sentence Defender Department, and we process sentence defender youth out to either TJJD parole, TDCJ parole, return to court for required hearings at 19, and return to court for early transfer hearings like today.
And I guess, and as was mentioned earlier, we're here in court today because you're requesting Texas Juvenile Justice Department is requesting an early transfer of Samuel Blackmore.
Yes,
Okay. And do you see Samuel Blackmore in the court via Zoom today?
yes.
Okay. And can you identify him by an article of clothing he's wearing?
He's wearing a green jumpsuit.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the respondent?
So reflect.
And in preparation today, was a master file containing all of the respondent's records along with the request for transfer created?
Yes,
And was that provided to all parties, including the state, the court, and the defense attorney?
yes,
Your Honor, at this time, the state and respondent have agreed to stipulate to the admission of Petitioner's Exhibit 1 for all purposes, 1A for record purposes, which contains the master file.
We so
Agreement.
stipulate.
All right, then petitioners 1 is admitted for all purposes and 1A is admitted for record-keeping purposes only.
So, Ms. Coy, I want to talk a little bit about why we're here for the early transfer, okay? When is the respondent's sentence set to expire?
October 9th of 2032.
Okay. And when would his minimum period of confinement be? Like what is that date?
October 9th of 2027.
And how old would he be on that date?
He would be 18
Okay.
and a half approximately.
Okay. And if this case was to proceed as normal, when would his transfer release hearing be?
Actually, if it were to proceed as normal, he wouldn't require one because he can complete his minimum period of confinement before turning 19. So TJJD would have paroling authority over him.
If TJJD chose not to parole him and to keep him past his minimum period of confinement, when would the hearing be scheduled for?
One would have to be scheduled. We'd either release him at 19 to adult parole, or one would have to be scheduled prior to 19 for another early transfer.
Okay. And how old is the respondent currently?
He is 17 years, 1 month.
Okay. And why is Texas Juvenile Justice Department requesting early transfer?
While Samuel has been with us, he has had multiple incidents, behavioral issues, and aggressive behavior.
Okay. Is there a criteria that is in place for someone to qualify for early transfer?
Yes.
Okay. And what is that criteria?
They have to be at least 16 years old. They have to have been with us at least 6 months. And if they commit a new felony or Class A misdemeanor, that could make them eligible. 3 or more major rule violations confirmed through a level 2 hearing would also meet eligibility, and an unwillingness to progress in treatment.
Okay. And obviously, Mr. Blackmore met the criteria in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was he made aware that he was in danger of being transferred early?
Yes.
And what was his response to that?
His response at some points has been he wants to go to TDC and does not want to work the programming.
Okay. Did you see any improvement in his, like massive improvement in his behavior when he knew that he was in danger of being transferred?
So, yes, we saw an improvement. We initially started his packet in the end of July. And at that point, he had already met the full criteria by having 5 major rule violations confirmed at that time. After that, his behavior did improve, at which point the packet was placed on a 60-day set-off to give Samuel time to continue working, to continue to see if he would maintain that positive um, progress. Although during that time he did initially, but then he reverted back to his aggressive behaviors.
Since his commitment, how many incidents reports has he incurred?
95.
All right. And how many admissions to the regulation and safety unit?
11.
And how many level 2 hearings has he had?
He's had 5 level 2 hearings confirming 8 major rule violations.
Okay. Can you briefly list those infractions and the dates?
Yes, March 4th of 2026, fighting bodily injury. March 27th, 2026, fighting no bodily injury. December 31st, 2025, exposure. June 26th, 2025, assault of staff bodily injury, assault of staff no injury, possession, use of a prohibited substance, white powder, and May 28th, 2025, tampering with safety equipment and fighting no injury.
Um, what interventions were given to Mr. Blackmore to assist him in trying to complete the Texas Juvenile Justice Department programming?
He has been placed on egregious behavior protocol approximately, I believe, 7 times, and repair an additional 5 times, which both programs help the youth to work specifically on the behaviors that they're exhibiting and better ways to handle their problems, as well as having the 60-day set off where he was noted that we would be pausing that decision to move forward and then attending regular general programming.
And were any of these interventions effective?
Only for a short amount of time. They do tend to, he can pull it together and respond well, but then eventually reverts back to his old offense patterns.
Were there any specialized treatments that were recommended for Mr. Blackmore?
Yes, he was recommended for power source and substance use services. He has not been in either program to date. However, we're no longer using power source, and he is receiving individualized DBT to address the violent offender programming need.
What's DBT?
Dialectical behavioral therapy.
Okay. So is there a reason that he was never enrolled or started the 2 programs that you just mentioned?
Likely it's probably a combination. His behavior was not stable, as well as his minimum period of confinement not being up for well over another year and a half now.
Okay. So I also read, was he referred to the violent offender program?
Yes.
Okay. Has he had an opportunity to participate in that program at all?
No, that would be power source, which we're no longer doing.
Okay. So if you're no longer doing that, do you have an alternative program instead?
Yes, he's getting the individual DBT, which is specific and above and beyond. So normally youth meet with case managers and do their DBT groups twice a week. Additionally, now they're meeting with an mental health professional and having individualized DBT with them as well.
And how is that working out?
Um, Again, kind of like his behavior up and down. Some days he works, some days he refuses to go to group. Some days he has his assignments, some days he's lost his diary cards. It just really kind of depends on where he's at that time.
Okay. And what is Mr. Blackmore's current stage?
He is a stage 3.
Okay. And that's about middle of the pack, right?
Correct.
Okay. So with him being a stage 3, and when did he get his last promotion?
April 1st.
So, would you agree with me that that shows improvement?
Yes, it did show some improvement.
Okay. So with him reaching a level 4, I'm sorry, a level 3, why is TJJD still recommending his early transfer to the Texas Department of Corrections?
It's his overall behavior while he's been with us. His last fight occurred approximately a month and a half ago when he knew he was still under review. And he tends to do well for short times and then reverts back to his aggressive behaviors.
Okay. How is his behavior affecting or having an impact on the other youths that are at the facility?
Yes, it can.
Okay. Now you mentioned he keeps reverting back. Is that the primary, or I guess I should ask, what is the overall primary concern when you have this that TJGD has when it comes to the respondent's behavior?
Really that he more often than not will choose not to follow programming, not to use the skills that he's been taught and is learning, and continues to revert back to his aggressive behaviors to handle problems rather than using skills that are taught that would keep from that happening.
Okay. And then one last time, what are you requesting of the court today?
The agency is requesting he be transferred to the the Correctional Institution Division of TDCJ.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Newman, cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Ms. Coy.
Morning.
All right. I want to talk to you about a statement you said a second ago first. I think it might be a bit hyperbolic. You said more often than not, he's not complying.
Yes.
He has 95 incident reports, and he's been there longer than 190 days. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. I just want to clarify that. Now, I want to talk to you about the stage system that you use. There's a 5-stage system. Is that accurate?
Yes.
All right. There's 4 numbered stages, and there's one that has a word as its stage. Is that fair?
Correct.
All right. And so when you say somebody's in the middle of the pack in stage 3, we're talking about somebody who's engaged in their academic and behavioral programming. Is that fair?
Yes.
Additionally, they're otherwise complying in the dorm.
Yes.
All right. And so when we talk about those 95 incident reports, as of August of last year, we had 75.
I would have to, don't know the exact.
All right. Do you think it might refresh your recollection if you reread the master file?
Oh, are you referring to the psychological?
Yeah, I was going to direct you to Bates stamp number 9.
Yes.
So is it fair to say over the last 7 months, there's been 20 incident reports?
Yes.
All right. And so when we talk about somebody making this type of progress, part of what TJJD does is cognitive behavioral therapy, but all rolled into rehabilitation.
Correct.
That's ultimately the charge of TJJD is rehabilitation.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk to you about the availability of those programs, specifically the Power Source program. Before it was done away with, was Mr. Blackmore ever number one on the list to go for the waiting list?
No,
All right. Was he ever number one on the list for the sus treatment?
no,
All right. And so a big factor was the waiting period and why he wasn't able to engage in that.
yes,
And the purpose of these programs was to address his criminogenic needs and to provide him with skills and tools to not reoffend.
yes.
And he wasn't given the opportunity to participate in either of those.
Not in either one of those, no.
Okay. And so I want to talk to you about the Power Source program. Has it gone by any other name in the last 5 years?
Sometimes people refer to it as violent offender programming.
All right. And TJJD has done away with the violent offender programming.
We've done away with that specific. We still have the capital and serious violent offender program. And now, rather than youth doing Power Source, we're doing individualized DBT with the mental health providers.
All right. Let's talk about the capital serious violent offender treatment program. All right. And that is a program offered through TJJD.
Yes,
And that program has certain criteria to get into it.
yes,
And at the orientation stage of somebody's stay in TJJD, they would be evaluated whether that program is necessary.
correct,
And at Mr. Blackmore's orientation, it was determined it was not.
correct,
And at his orientation, it was recommended he do the Power Source program.
correct.
The Power Source program has some similarities to the Capital and Serious Violent Offenders Treatment Program.
Yes,
It addresses individual needs as well as provides a group setting, so there may be reflection amongst peers.
yes,
And the purpose of that treatment is to encourage empathy, to encourage understanding, and to allow individuals to progress with similarly situated peers.
yes,
And instead of that, what TJJD offers now is simply individual, was it DBT therapy?
yes, we do have that.
All right. So the violent offender program is effectively gone and replaced with an individual program.
It still has, so it has two prongs to it. It still has a group program setting that's done with the case manager where they meet for those groups twice a week. And then additionally, on top of that, they're also doing individualized DBT with the mental health professional.
Okay. And so as somebody progresses, they would be engaged in the group setting.
Actually, I mean, they start that the day one that when they come in.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. So Power Source is gone, but we have many of its elements.
Yes,
And is Samuel engaged in those elements?
yes, at times he is.
All right. And he was placed in TJJD in what month?
He arrived to orientation on April 10th of 2025.
All right. And when you say April 10th, 2025, that is when he was transferred from our facility in Tarrant County to the TJJD facilities.
Correct.
All right. And at that time, he entered the orientation program
Yes,
and his needs were assessed.
yes,
All right. And then he begins rehabilitation. So
Yes.
in those first 4.5 months, he had 75 rule violations.
correct.
In the next 7 months, he only had 20.
Correct.
And Samuel is scheduled to be placed on stage 4 in the near future. Is that correct?
It would depend on his behavior as well as him being meeting the certain criteria for stage 4.
All right. But that can be done relatively quickly.
Possibly if he were working, yes.
Could be done in about a month or 6 weeks.
I would tend to think maybe a little longer than that. As you get higher in stages, they take longer because there's more criteria that they need to be meeting, and they also have to be meeting all the criteria that's from stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, as well as meeting the stage 4.
Okay. And so let's talk about how much time we have left. We've used approximately 11 months of his stay. Is that fair?
Yes,
All right. And that's just in TJJD. He had several months before that in the Tarrant County Juvenile Detention Center.
correct.
And just for his minimum length of stay, we have 14 months left.
Yes, well, it's October of 2027, so
13 and some change, a little bit more accurate. Oh, I'm
say
bad.
closer to, yeah, I was gonna say, I would say closer to 16 or 17, I think.
Thank you. Lawyers not known for their math skills. All right. So we have about 16 months left before even his minimum length of stay. And we have a downward y-intercept showing that his behavior is improving through the programming.
Yes,
And there is every possibility that in continued programming that he would progress to stage 4 in stage yes.
it is possible.
I didn't hear that. Every what? Mr. Newman?
Every possibility that
Okay, thank
in
you.
the next 17 months he would achieve stage 4 and stage yes. Now I want to talk to you about the level 2 hearings. All right.
Yes,
You testified a moment ago about a level 2 hearing in June of 25. And I have some documentation in the master file related to a prohibited substance. I have gone through this file and I cannot find what prohibited item or substance we're talking about. Can you direct me to where it's located in the master file? Now I'm going to hopefully provide you a little guidance. I see something on 447 in my notes, Bates stamp 447.
oh, you're looking for the actual level 2? I was looking for the incident.
I'm looking for the 225.
Okay, the
I have
225,
a
I'm almost there. The 225 is going to be on page 598.
598. Thank you. All right. And so was this substance tested?
I do not know.
All right. Ultimately, he was referred to the psychiatrist per Bates stamp 447.
Yes,
All right. And he received some type of medical follow-up.
yes,
And was Mr. Blackmore on any type of prescription medication at the time?
yes, he was.
All right. And was that consistent with what was observed?
What, explain what you mean.
Well, was the white powder consistent with the prescription medication he identified?
Well, according to the youth, he stated that it was his medication that he had crushed up.
Okay. Do you have any information that would show that this prohibited substance was a non-prescribed narcotic?
No,
And all of this happened 10 months ago. And please check my math. I'm not doing great on it at this point.
yes, I believe so.
And so if the judge were to return Mr. Blackmore to Texas Juvenile Justice Department, it would be the Texas Juvenile Justice Department's obligation to continue his programming.
Yes,
And could you commit to the court that you would continue the programming and assist in his rehabilitation?
yes, we would.
If he was successful, you would have the opportunity to parole him.
Correct.
If he was unsuccessful, you could seek another early transfer.
Correct.
There's no bar to you seeking another one later.
Correct.
And if he is somewhere in between those two stages, you could keep him past his minimum length of confinement. Is that fair?
Yes,
All right. And are you committing to the court that if that were to happen, that you would abide by the directive of the legislature and continue your program?
yes,
And despite the fact that we see a downward Y-intercept of behavioral incidents, it is still the recommendation of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department to transfer Samuel Blackmore to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Terrio?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's go have some questions. All right, so on your kind of the summary on page 3,
Yes.
so in the paragraph underneath the chart, it talks about the egregious behavior protocol, EBP,
Mhm.
right? Is that a new program or new title?
It's newer. We've had it for a while. It's replacing repair. So repair is going away and EBP, I want to say we've had it well over a year, but
That's fine. I just hadn't seen it before. All right. So this is kind of a timing thing that I saw. Do you know when the decision was made by the committee to request early transfer?
initially it was back in July of 2025 when the packet was started. And then in September, Mr. Grove on September 24th did a 60-day set off of that decision.
Who's Mr. Grove?
He's our deputy executive director.
Okay. So I committed him January, I think 25th or January 30th of 25. When did he come into PJD care? When did y'all pick him up?
April 10th of 2025.
And then in July, y'all started the packet for the requesting early transfer.
Yes,
And then Mr. Grove did a 6-day set off. So that would have pushed it off to roughly September or so.
yes, the end of September.
Okay, so I think we received the letter originally requesting early transfer in February. And so what happened in the delay between September to February?
So when there's a 60-day set off, that packet goes basically on hold. And then after that 60 days, we kick it back to the facility for updated recommendations, feedback, and with what the youth is doing. And at that point, the facility updates their feedback, and then it goes back to Mr. Grove, and then he will review it and make a final decision.
I'm just going to ask you this. From the time you took possession of Mr. Blackmore, so from April until July when you started the red packet to transfer, how would you grade his attitude on A through F?
It was close to an F.
Okay. Then during the Mr. Grove's 60-day set off, that means from July, July until September or so, how would you grade Mr. Blackmore's attitude at that point?
At that point, it had improved.
I mean, can you give me a grade?
I would probably give him at that point C plus, B minus.
And then from September, so then during the set off, y'all started the packet again after that set off?
It's not started, it's just kicked back for updated information. So it's basically placed on hold or pause to see if he's going to continue with that behavior. He had shown behavioral improvement, and to make sure that he was going to continue with that improvement was the 60-day set off. Then it goes back to the facility for their feedback again.
Okay, so it seems like his attitude improved then, but then TJJD started, I guess, going down the path of recommending early transfer again after September.
Um, After, I would say that it was after December, because the packet was approved in February.
So what happened between September and December then?
So September, he had one incident. In October, he had none. In November, he had one. And then starting December 15th, his behavior started going back up. And then come the beginning of February, it started even more.
When you say up, we're not talking up as in positive, we're talking up as in
More
the severity.
incidents.
Okay.
Yes.
And then February is when you decided to go ahead and send the request to the court for the early transfer.
Yes.
So I know in Bates 298, and then multiple times throughout the master file, Mr. Blackmore is repeatedly saying he wants to go to TJJD. He would rather go to, I'm sorry, TDC. He would rather go to TDC, just send him to TDC. And so I understand we're dealing with children. They say things that they may not mean, but how often does this happen where children say just, I remember the master files I get where these youth will say, I don't care, right? And I know they kind of care, but I don't think I've ever seen a child actually say, I want to go to TDC. Like, how often does that happen in your experience?
It happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen with some youth.
Like, will they say it over? I'm trying to figure out, and I just don't have the experience with this, like the degree of sincerity when a child says that. I mean, are there youth in your experience that actually do want to go to TDC?
Yes.
I also see multiple references to a diary card, and I haven't seen that before. What is a diary card?
It is part of the DBT programming where the youth has a card where they're going to write down what has been going on and their feelings and everything with it, and kind of identifying. It helps them to identify what's going on, what's happening when they're starting to feel a certain way. Like some days he may like I haven't felt like fighting in a week, or I feel like fighting every day. Just depends on what's going on, to make them more aware of what's going on with their feelings and how to better handle them, and use those coping skills that they're learning in the programming.
And then, so you had mentioned in your testimony he had lost his diary card. I mean, tell me about, like, what are the rules involving the diary card?
Well, that's part of their treatment program, so that would be an issue if it was lost. And then he would have to make sure that he had requested to get another one to be able to continue monitoring himself. It's really a tool that he uses to monitor himself and what he's doing, and then meets with the MHP to go over it and identify where he's at and focus what his focus needs to be on. So it would be a problem if he lost it and would need to get a new one.
So I did notice one where one of his level twos was for headbutting one of the detention staff. And so was there ever a criminal case filed with that in the local county?
There was a review of that through OIG, but not sustained for enough to go up for prosecution.
And there's one other time where I saw, and it involves Priya, and I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I'm just not that familiar with Priya since I don't work in a detention facility. So if I recall, there was a time when I guess he was in his pod, and it looks like I think a female, I think the name was Maria, was doing checks, and this young man had, I guess he was laying on his bed naked, which was against the rules, and then she called for somebody else, and then he had covered himself after that. Is there, can you tell me the story? Like, my assumption was if a female encounters naked male, that they need to call for a male to come by and deal with it. Is that what it is? Or I've never seen that where they called for somebody else.
Looking, because I think that's the one that he received the level two hearing for in December. And I think she called to notify the CSA on duty, the who's our administrator on duty at that time, to let them know that incident had occurred.
Okay. Okay. There was also another incident I saw that I can't figure this out. It said he had urinated under his door. Can you tell me how that happens? Like, don't the individual pods have toilets in them?
Uh, I don't believe on the dorms, no, not each individual. It depends on the actual facility and the makeup of that. Do you remember approximately when that happened?
No, there were two times where he urinated inside his dorm,
Mhm.
but one of them was it said he urinated under his door, and I can't. Yeah, I didn't write the page number. I mean, at the time it seemed odd, but it kind of came to my mind right now talking to you.
I would,
That's fine.
I can look through and get that information back.
Okay. I'm sorry. Bates 619. I did write it down. Samuel informed me he urinated under his door while other youth were being disruptive.
Yes.
Like, I'm just wondering how that happens.
Um, it's possible that if there was a big disruption going on, they could not have been able to let him out to go to the restroom. I don't know if he had asked or not, or if he just did it to be involved in the disruption. I mean, it could be any of those. Um,
Now, I think there were some questions earlier about not being in the group program. Um, like I know you don't do Power Source anymore, but the violent offender program, Mr. Newman had touched on this. Was he not enrolled that because he was just too early in the program? I know y'all are, it's kind of whack-a-mole. You're trying to get kids in the program kind of time with their release dates. Is it because Mr. Blackmore just hadn't gone far enough on the wait list yet?
Yes, that was definitely a big part of it. And then his behavior as well, but yes.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have from Ms. Coy. Ms. Terrio, did you have follow-up questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Newman?
No, Judge.
Okay. I just want to give you all the chance in case I triggered a curiosity. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Coy. Ms. Terrio, your next witness?
We have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Newman, your first witness.
Judge, may I have a brief recess to confer with my client?
Or do you want me to put you in a breakout room? Or actually, just since y'all are sitting next to each other, what is there anybody else in, or do y'all have privilege or do y'all need?
I would like to go to the back hallway or the holding cell just because we
Okay.
do have a bailiff in the room with us.
Okay, let's take a recess. We'll just wait for you to pop on screen, Mr. Newman.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
A teenager stood before a judge with one final chance to avoid adult prison. But by the end of the hearing, that opportunity was gone. Samuel Blackmore appeared in court for an early transfer hearing, where the judge had to decide whether he should remain in the Texas Juvenile Justice Department or be transferred into the adult prison system. Before testimony even began, the judge carefully explained Blackmore's legal rights and the factors the court was required to consider, including his behavior while in juvenile custody, the seriousness of his crimes, his ability to contribute to society, and whether rehabilitation was still possible. The state's first witness painted a troubling picture. Officials testified that Blackmore had been committed after being found delinquent for aggravated robbery and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. While in juvenile custody, he accumulated 95 incident reports, was sent to the Regulation and Safety Unit 11 times, and committed 8 major rule violations confirmed through disciplinary hearings. Staff described repeated fighting, assaults on employees, possession of a prohibited substance, and aggressive behavior that continued despite multiple interventions. Although his behavior briefly improved after learning he faced early transfer, officials testified that he soon returned to the same violent patterns. Because of that, the Texas Juvenile Justice Department formally recommended transferring him to the adult prison system. Blackmore's attorney argued that rehabilitation was still working. He pointed out that incident reports had significantly decreased over recent months and emphasized that Blackmore had never been given the opportunity.
Can months of improvement erase a long history of violent behavior? That difficult question was at the center of a dramatic juvenile court hearing involving Samuel Blackmore. His attorney argued that while Blackmore had struggled badly during his first months in juvenile custody, the numbers told a different story more recently. Early in his commitment, he accumulated dozens of disciplinary reports. But over the following 7 months, those violations dropped significantly, and he advanced to stage 3 in the rehabilitation program. According to the defense, those changes proved the treatment process was beginning to work. Defense counsel also questioned whether Blackmore had actually received every rehabilitation opportunity available. Testimony revealed that some recommended treatment programs were discontinued or unavailable before he reached the top of the waiting list. Instead, he participated in individual dialectical behavioral therapy, known as DBT, while officials acknowledged that his progress often depended on whether he consistently engaged in treatment. The defense argued that with more than a year remaining before his minimum release date, Blackmore still had time to complete additional programming and continue improving. The judge, however, focused on the broader picture. He pointed to Blackmore's original violent offenses, his repeated assaults inside the juvenile facility, his extensive disciplinary history, and the testimony that Blackmore had repeatedly told staff he actually wanted to be transferred to adult prison. The judge explained that actions matter more than promises, and that rehabilitation requires consistent effort over time, not temporary improvement followed by repeated setbacks. In the end, the court concluded that community safety and the limited resources available for rehabilitation outweighed the recent signs of progress. Blackmore was transferred to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, where the judge expressed hope he would still learn from his mistakes, but explained that the juvenile system had already provided multiple opportunities to change. Before closing the hearing, the judge informed him of his right to appeal the decision. Here's today's question. If a young offender begins showing improvement after months of bad behavior, should judges focus on recent progress or the entire history of misconduct when deciding whether to send them to adult prison? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more real courtroom stories.